Okay, the first thing we want to do is spray penetrating oil on all the bolts that we're going to remove, including the exhaust gas temp sensor. The tools you'll need is a 17mm socket, a 15mm socket, and possibly an extension. First, remove the bolt to the rear of the DPF, and then remove the nuts on the front of the DPF filter. The very top nut is double nutted. It's the hardest one to reach. It holds the bracket to the DPF pressure sensor. Once you get the nut off, you can slide the bracket off and remove the second nut. Well, we have all the bolts and nuts removed from the DPF filter itself. Now we can disconnect the exhaust gas temp sensor connector and leave it with the filter. Now next we want to remove the hanger donuts. Once we have all the hanger donuts removed, we slide the whole assembly towards the rear of the truck. It'll pull the bolts from the rear of the catalytic converter. Then remove the filter. The EGT sensor can be removed at this time. 13mm wrench. Be very careful not to twist it off or strip it over. Sometimes they're hard to get out. Lots of penetrating lube is good. Once it's removed, you can set it aside or install it into the new pipe. And remove the gasket from the filter. Use a putty knife. Be careful, they're fragile. Use the bolts that are supplied with the pipe to hold the gasket in place. Install the EGT sensor if you haven't done so already. It does not need to be extremely tight. Just snug it up. Then install the test pipe. Insert the rear of the test pipe into the tailpipe first. And then the bolts into the rear of the catalytic converter. Once you have the bolts lined up, go ahead, finish putting all the bolts in. Make sure you put the long bolt in the top that has the double nut that'll hold the bracket to the DPF pressure sensor. Once you've got all the bolts in, tighten them up. And make sure you get that bracket in place correctly. Install the second nut. Connect the connector to the EGT sensor. Slide on the donuts, exhaust hanger donuts. A little bit of lube will help them slide on better. Tighten up any loose bolts, and you're done.